Senior Master Sergeant Joe Bousquet. If you don't know who he is or what he does, you've come to the right place. He also has a debut album coming out soon titled Simply Joseph, where you can hear his story in song form, kind of a musical cliff notes via soundtrack of Joe's day-to-day life in the IG office. Not really, but I'd buy it. He's a man of many talents and many skills, so I can think of no one better to talk to about our upcoming inspection later this month. What we can do as individuals, full-timers, DSGs, doesn't matter, to get ready for it. I think my biggest takeaways from this conversation with the IG superintendent: communication, ask questions, do your job, be ready to fight tonight, as General Roy likes to say. I'm Master Sergeant Andy Sinclair, and I'm here to tell you, stick around. You're going to want to hear this one. Senior Master Sergeant Joe Bousquet, IG extraordinaire. I don't know if that's his technical term or not. He's going to correct me in a minute. That's the beauty of being a Senior Master Sergeant. He's here for this podcast episode. He's going to help us out, give us some tidbits on what to expect for this upcoming exercise for all of us that are going to be inspected, and hopefully maybe gain some intel on what we can do to help each other out, help ourselves out, and set ourselves up for success. So, Senior, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, thank you, Andy.
Can you start off by giving us like a quick background on who you are, where you come from, and what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so for the 101st, I'm the IG superintendent, and I've been with the IG now for about five years, I guess I would say. I took a couple of years off and went down to FSS for a while, but I'm back up at the IG. About 7 or 8 years ago, the Air Force changed the inspection system to something they called AFIS. And since that new change, I've really pretty much been in the 101st IG office since then. So we handle everything that is inspection, exercise, compliance, and obviously complaint-wise.
Oh, okay. So you guys, does everybody in your shop handle all of those, or is it divided amongst the ranks?
So we'll split that up. We have 4 people in the shop right now, and we will split up the responsibilities of inspections, exercise, complaints, those types of things amongst different people. We do have a complaints coordinator, a director of complaints, who is Major Emily Andrews. I also handle complaints. So for the complaints side, there's only us 2 that are certified to do that. The rest of us, we do mix up all of the responsibilities of inspection and exercise, just as whoever has the available resources to do it. I mostly work on the entire wing's inspection, exercise, compliance programs. Mr. Qualls, who is our director of inspections, he is responsible specifically for individual inspections and individual inspection planning. And then Tech Sergeant Carey, who is new with us, she is our inspection coordinator. She helps with inspections and with our unit's USAP programs.
I'm not sure I've seen a team as dynamic and as the one that you guys have now. And let's talk about experience, for example, just off the top of my head. What year did you join the Marine Corps?
So I joined the Marine Corps in 1984.
1984. So yeah, literally 40 years ago next year. So that's that. So it's 40 years experience right there. Chief Qualls had been out in NGB and security forces, and he was the chief here for a long time as well. A lot of wealth of experience and knowledge there. Lieutenant Colonel Nutter, who everybody knows, and she's been out here for a long time, and she has a wealth of knowledge as well. And like you said, Emily Andrews, and then Tech Sergeant Carey. So I think that you guys, what I'm getting at is that the IG team that we have now, let's just, for lack of a better term, say you guys know what you're doing and you know how to get us to where we need to be. I think that we kind of talked about this before I hit record, but the days of A1C Andy Sinclair fearing IG when they come around are long past, and you guys are here to help set us up for success.
Right, that's one of those things. So they used to say black hat, white hat IG back in the day, and the black hat IG would come in and be very, I don't know, you wouldn't say aggressive, but very strict and very harsh. And those were the times when the units were fearful and they were hiding things. And what we really found out was that you weren't getting a good look at what a wing could do because of that fear and because of that, let's say hide our things that are messed up. So that information wasn't making it up to commanders, and then commanders, of course, could never correct it because they were never finding it. So that type of inspection model really kind of played out. Now they call it kind of a white hat. So it's not an aggressive type of thing. And then every commander has really wrapped their arms around this idea of embracing the red, which is tell me the things that are wrong. Honestly show me those things that are incorrect so that I can make decisions on what to do so that we can make sure that we can accomplish our mission and we reduce our risk. As far as our IG team that we have here now, one of the things that, we are very fortunate because we have a full IG team. There's a lot of things to do with funding. The Guard Bureau only funds the IG for one single position, and that is our actual IG, which would be Colonel Nutter. The other positions in the office are funded locally by our wing commander, which happens to be Colonel Gillis at the time. And that wing commander can decide how to fund it. They take it out of Hyde, it's called. And he has chosen to fund that office 100%, which is excellent for us. But not all wings are in that situation. Some wings have 2, 3, some have 6 or 7. But we are in a good spot there. The other thing is, one of the things that I do is I travel around to other Guard bases and I instruct and I teach other IGs how to run IG shops, what are the pieces they're supposed to have. So I work as a trainer for NGB to go around. So we are lucky that we do have a pretty seasoned IG shop to try to cover down for everybody to prep the wing when we have these types of large inspections where we might have a MAGCOM come in and take a look at if we can accomplish our mission sets or not.
Oh, that's cool. What's it like going to other wings and trying to help them out?
Well, that's interesting because one of the biggest things that is a problem in IG shops is turnover. So all IG shops, because they are funded out of Hyde, a lot of those people are indefinite. And again, it goes back to Manning and a lot of technical stuff like that. But indef is a little bit risky for an employee. They could be asked to go home. They're not a permanent employee. So what we find across the entire enterprise is people that come into the IG shop and they're in indef positions, they look to find permanent positions someplace in the wing. So that's one of the things that causes a lot of turnover in the IG shops. The other thing that causes turnover in the IG shops is they are being used as kind of a training ground for the next step. So you'll see a lot of officers come through the IG that will move on to squadron and group commander positions. And that's because it gives them the opportunity to look across the whole wing and kind of get a holistic view of the mission set as opposed to their own specialty in that view of the mission set.
So with this inspection we have coming up in March, can you tell me what you can tell me about that?
Sure. So this is interesting. So it's there's a lot of confusion about it, or there's some confusion about it. So what it's called is an NSAV. So it's really not an inspection. It's not our MAGCOM coming down to take a look at us and give us a Caesar's thumb as to yes, we can pull off this mission, or no, we cannot pull off this mission. It's A10N, who is responsible for policy and directive on the nuclear side. They are coming down with a team. There'll be about 10 to 12 of them, and you could look at it as they're coming down to provide input, to do a SAV, to take a look and see where we could do better, some things we might not have thought of, to kind of prepare us for our NORI, which will be down the road. So this is a normal step that is taken on every wing that runs this nuclear mission, is they will have an NSAV. It's a required visit that will come out. So they're going to come out. It's a great team of people that have an enormous amount of experience in this mission set, who have seen hundreds of wings, perform this exact same exercise that we're going to perform, and they give us some pointers. Hey, you could improve this. Hey, that was really good. You might want to think about this. Sometimes when people do this, even though you guys pulled it off, we've seen it fail, so be careful. So it's really that type of look. That's what's going on for this March inspection.
So how big is the team? Do you guys know?
So the team that will come down. So there's a few different people that will be on our base. So we'll have the NSAV team, and that is about 13 people, let's say. And then we have a group of observers that are coming in from other bases. So just as we go to other bases, a lot of people from our base will go to another base and they'll observe a unit run their NORI. We have people from other bases that are just coming here just to watch. So they're just people from other bases who have the same mission set, and they just want to see how the MAINEiacs do it. We have a very good reputation for pulling off this mission set. We're very well known for being very capable of pulling off this mission set. So we get lots of people that will call and say, can we come and can we watch you guys run the mission so that we can get a few pointers, see how somebody else does it. So we have that group. So we have the NSAV team, we have a group of observers, and then we have, of course, like when we were doing our last NORIs these last few months, we have our WIT inspection team. So that's the wing inspection team, and that's a group of local people. That's our local members here who are run by the IG, our local IG, our shop, and they have a series of things that they are going to inspect while they're here. We do have a couple of outside WIT members for some area that we needed to cover down on where some of our shops are kind of light.
To kind of help out with that team.
Yes.
Like members that they're not sending on their team to inspect those shops or help out those shops. I see. So what are some things that we can do to help prepare for this? Like, I mean, I know we're a few weeks out at this point, but it's something that our wing has been practicing for and getting ready for. And I guess the second part to that question is, is there a rank requirement or a rank expectation for who's going to be looked at or observed? Like, is Airman Snuffy, who's 18, fresh out of high school, going to be looked at, or is it going to be Chief so-and-so, or is it everybody?
So it's interesting. There's a couple different types of inspections that we typically see here at the wing when somebody from another unit will come down, when a larger MAGCOM. One of them, of course, is our UEI. And when we do a UEI, that is when a larger team will come down. There might be 60, 80 inspectors from AMC will come onto the base, and they'll do a lot of very technical, very detailed inspections, and you'll see those guys communicate much more to a larger group of airmen on the base because they're looking at everything. It's a large, almost a administrative inspection. Effectiveness inspection type thing. This inspection is a readiness inspection. Can you do this exercise? Can you do the most important mission that the United States of America has? Can the members on this base run that mission if the president says run that mission? That's what these guys are coming down to take a look at. That's what our NORI will be looking at. So that group is a smaller inspection group. So they may not communicate directly with every member on the base, or they may not communicate directly with lots of members on the base, because what they are doing is two things. They are observing our ability to run that exercise. Can we produce aircraft? Can we respond to aircraft? Can we launch aircraft? Can we meet the requirements of that? And then secondfold, they're looking at our local IG and inspection teams. And they're saying, can this base field a local inspection team through their IG that is capable and mature and experienced enough to provide the AMC commander a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this wing can pull off this mission set if called upon?
It's like you're reading off of like straight out of the AFI. Like you've got it down packed in your mind. It's kind of funny to watch and listen to. It's like most people we talk and we interview, and it's some thought process goes behind it. Maybe some ums and ahs, like I tend to do a lot of the times. But you've got this down packed, which actually makes me feel good. We'll be good to go come March. But so what? I know we probably can't talk about the extent of the NSAV and can we get into at all like a general overview of the MST, or is that something we can't talk about?
No, we can talk about that. The general idea of our mission set, of course, is we have a couple of major graded areas. One of those is generation. Can our maintenance people Can they generate the required number of planes, for this type of mission? Can they get them ready? Can they prep them within time? And of course, everything we do in the military, there's timing involved, especially when you're going to have a large mission of this type of this nature. There's lots of timing type pieces so that all the other pieces in the whole country can come together all at once and we can defend the country. So there's that generation piece. There's a piece called employment. Can our ops group, can our pilots and can our boom operators, can they get to these planes? Can they decode messages that are coming in? Because we'll get all kinds of secret messages which will tell them what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to go, and can they do those things? And then there's another piece which is a mobile support team, and that'll be a large group of people, or a group of people would leave the base and they would go to a distant location and set up the resources required to retrieve planes and send them back out to the mission. So that's kind of the three big pieces. They're called MGA, Major Graded Areas, that we look at when we run this mission set.
And so, it's good information. So you mentioned earlier the concept of embracing the red. So let's say, for example, my area receives some red, and I'm the individual that all falls on. What would be my next step to correct those deficiencies and make sure that we get into the green?
So in the past, what was going on was you would have an inspection, and if you saw any red out of an inspection report, then the concept was somebody has really made a gigantic mistake. Somebody will be held responsible. Somebody's going to have to pay for this. And that's definitely not the situation now. It's a reality that everybody knows that we have thousands of AFIs with thousands of lines of will, shells, and musts, and at different times, we may have forgotten one of those, or through transition, we may not have covered down on one of those, or because we as a base have moved our resources around someplace, we may not be able to do one of those types of things right now. So when those things come up, they'll get documented. They go into a system. We have a couple of systems here which track things. One is MAINEiac and one is iGEMS, and they're used for different purposes. But anyways, it's the same idea, to track compliance and to track the unit's ability to perform tasks that are outlined in different directives and guidance. So what will happen is an inspector will come in and they'll document some sort of a deficiency, and a different shop or a unit will have something that they need to take care of. So the whole mindset here on the base has gone from, and across the Air Force really, has gone from we need to make somebody pay, somebody's responsible, somebody's going to get talked to about this, to let's go talk to that person in that shop and find out why we're not doing these things. Let's put together a corrective action plan on how can we correct this. Or even on a bigger level, me as the wing commander, if I'm the wing commander, I might say to myself, okay, thank you for telling me that we're not doing that anymore. I have the purview of the entire base and the entire mission, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to do that. We're going to waive that. We're not going to do, I do not have the resources. It is not mission essential, and we're not going to do that task. So that also frees up the resources of the individual that wasn't doing something, and it provides really a lot of comfort in your job. You go home at night and you say, did I do a good job today? Was I a good employee? Did I do the things I'm supposed to do? Did I represent the people of this country who are paying me to come to work every day? Did I do a good job today? And if you know in the back of your mind that there are some things that you haven't been doing that you're supposed to do, that plays on you a little bit. So having these types of inspections where you come in and you see what's not being done, and you have commanders take a look at that and tell you, okay, you're right, Andy, that is not a very important task there. That's kind of a minutia task. Why are we doing that? We don't have the money for that. I don't want you to waste any of your time worrying about that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and submit a waiver so that we don't have to do that.
And that'd be a normal process.
That's an absolutely normal process.
Is that something that you guys have encountered before? Have you guys had to deal with that?
Absolutely. So, and that's what is so good about this inspection system. The way that we have it now is a commander, so prior to, I took a break in service after the Marine Corps, and I used to do some business consulting. And one of the biggest things that I would see that would kill a business is that a business had created a mindset where real information wasn't making it up to the CEOs, the VPs, that type of stuff. The same stuff happens here in the military even more. If you create a situation where the commander cannot be aware of what is really going on in his unit or her unit, then they can't make the necessary changes. It's kind of like this. If you go out and you don't know that you have bald tires on your car, you drive 100 miles to work, 100 miles an hour to work that day, the tires blow out, you crash, everybody dies, bad things happen, right? You didn't accomplish the mission. But if you're aware, if somebody told you, hey, your tires are bald, then you can go and you can make modifications. You can say, okay, I'm not going to drive 100 today to work. I'm going to drive 25 until next week when I can get enough money to replace those tires. And that's the same thing a wing will do. If the commander knows that we're in a situation where we have bald tires over there, they'll modify the requirements, they'll sound the alarm, they'll make changes to what they tell their supervisors on can they pull off a mission or can they not pull off a mission. Because the key, especially with this mission, is the highest levels in this country need to know, can the MAINEiacs pull off this mission set if they are told to go right now?
In a way, it kind of sounds like, one of the big terms that we use in our career field is constructive criticism. It's kind of what it sounds like. Maybe not so much. The criticism can sometimes sound too harsh, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing if you're being pointed out what it is that you need to fix and what you need to change in order to put your best foot forward and get the mission done, or to change something like you said that needs to be fixed, that maybe we haven't been doing it the right way the whole time, or maybe doing it the right way doesn't fit our needs, and maybe we can submit a waiver and see what best fits our mission and our wing, which is pretty cool. What do you have any advice on individuals, our MAINEiacs, specifically our DSGs are going to be here for the long weekend, that might be operating at that tactical level, that may not be a part of the MST, may not be singled out for questions or an inspection. Your staffs and your techs that may have a fire team that they're responsible for.
So the biggest thing that can be done, and it plays back to what I was talking about with providing true, honest feedback, is run your responsibilities like you're supposed to run them. Use the systems that you're using, use the processes and procedures that you are supposed to use. And when you find problems in those processes and procedures, when you find problems in those items that you use to accomplish the mission, you make sure that that information is directed upward. You make sure that you tell your supervisor, hey, when we tried to run this mission the other day, I had to use this equipment, and this equipment does not work for that. I had to use these processes, and these processes did not work, or they were very slow, or here's a better way to use that process. Find the WIT that is inspecting that area. Find the inspection team member from our base, they're our own people, and tell them that. Show them, look, I was trying to accomplish this task. I was trying to change the tire on this plane. I was trying to prep the paperwork for this deployment. I was trying to gather the gear for these people. And this is the problem that I encountered, which caused these negative types of things to happen. And if we did it this way, we could actually improve it and have a much better chance at accomplishing the mission, reducing the risk to not accomplishing that mission. That would be the best advice I could give everybody that's on the base. One thing, too, is you mentioned DSGs, and I remember I would be a DSG, and there were several times, I was a DSG here, and there were several times that I would come in, I was working down at LRS at the time, and I really didn't know what we were up to. I'd heard, through the grapevine, we're doing an inspection or an exercise. I really didn't know what the exercise was about, and I really didn't have any concept of the big picture or why it was important that I hand that person in front of me the correct gear. So The other thing I would say to any DSG member that listens to this is really try to get involved with what we're up to here on a base. We have active duty missions on this base. We hold the responsibility for one of the most important, well, actually for the most important mission set for our country. And if you are unaware of what that is and what we do in these exercises, you are absolutely welcome to come up and talk to me. I will tell you everything about it. I will make sure you understand every aspect of why we're doing what we're doing. But your supervisors also know those things. And ask those questions, because lots of times it's difficult for us to do things because we don't know, why am I actually doing it? If I knew why I was doing it, then I would perform much better. I would perform much more accurately, or I would perform quicker, or I would perform more diligently, whatever the case may be. But if I'm unaware of the why onto what I'm up to, then you'll find that my performance, your performance, anybody's performance will be less than what it could be.
So what you're talking about in both instances that you're referring to is really to go back to that tactical level for any member. Really, actually, is communication. That's the key part. If I'm unsure of what it is I'm supposed to be doing, or if I'm unsure of what our overall big picture is here, which is, I mean, you're speaking from experience, and so am I. There were times I've been out here before, especially when I was young. I didn't even know who our wing commander was, and so ask those questions and don't be afraid to ask them, because in the environment that I grew up in, you were afraid to ask. It was afraid because then you'd be made an example of, or maybe you'd be called stupid, or Airman Sinclair, how do you not know this? Or
right.
Why don't you go read the blue book or the brown book for a little bit and come
right.
back to me?
Right.
And so what you're talking about is communication. And if I come to you as my supervisor and I walk away feeling less uneducated of what's going on, that falls on you. That doesn't fall on me.
Absolutely.
And if I'm not getting that from you, go somewhere else.
Absolutely. A couple things there. If you think about it and you think, I'm out here full time, and if I added up all the questions I ask all month long of every different person on this base, I ask all kinds of questions of people. I call up units and I ask them questions, and I ask the people that I work with questions. Everybody, people that outrank me, people that don't outrank me, people that have just been here for months. I ask a ton of questions. So now you transfer that to a DSG. A DSG is here for 2-3 days. Okay, if they ask a month's worth of questions in 2 or 3 days, that's the same thing as us, as the full-time staff did. They're only here a few days. All the actions that we take all month long are condensed into just a few days. So they'll ask a lot of questions, or they should. And if they are asking us questions, like you said, and we're not providing them the answers, we're not providing them the time, or we're chastising them for asking questions, that's the exact scenario that crushes and kills businesses and crushes and kills the military. Communication, we talk about communication a little bit. So one of the programs that we use is MAINEiac, and it has a SAC, which is a communicator. It's called a communicator. And it's meant for every airman in the organization to be able to directly tell all levels of the Air Force that something that they're supposed to be able to do, they can't do for some sort of reason. Maybe it's a training issue. Maybe it's a resource issue. Who knows what the issue is, but that communicator, that SAC in MAINEiac is viewable and is viewed by the highest levels of the Air Force. They collect this information up and they make decisions off where we should move resources, where we should move personnel, where we should move money, where we should move supplies. So it's very important to communicate that up through. If you find yourself in a situation where you are taking your job responsibly, you're taking your job serious, you're providing information to your supervisors, and you don't believe that that information is being taken seriously, or that you feel like you are being shut down and told to kind of just go sit back where you were and don't worry about it, then speak to another supervisor. That's our job. That's what we're being paid for. We're being paid to use our brains. We're being paid to use our physical abilities, and we're being paid to accomplish a task. And if for any reason any of those things you feel are being inhibited, then it is also your responsibility to voice that up through, of course, maturely, professionally, all those types of things. but it's just what we're being paid for. I'm being paid today to do some stuff, and I'm going to try really hard to get that stuff done. And if people block me in the way or undermine what I'm trying to do or don't take seriously what I'm trying to do, then I'm going to talk to more people. I'm just not going to go back to my desk and just give up for the day.
Well, that's the beauty of today's environment, and we've had it for a long time. Though, is those same resources that we're allowed to access. If you're my supervisor, and I feel like I'm not getting that information, or I don't have the tools that I need to accomplish my mission, or maybe that I'm not, like you said, maybe you're not taking me seriously, and I can see that. There are other resources. I go above you. I go to my first shirt. I go to maybe my commander has an open door policy, which a lot of them do nowadays, which is great. And those resources are certainly there. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest roadblocks that our MAINEiacs, or probably any airman or any service member out there is not getting that communication and not relaying information or getting the information they need to be able to complete their mission. So going back to that SAC and that communicator you're talking about, is that something? I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that. Is that something that I could access from home, or does it have to be on a government computer, or how does that work?
So the SAC, okay. So it's in the program MAINEiac. So these are the questions that are being answered in MAINEiac. So if somebody in your unit says to you, we have a checklist, we have a MAINEiac checklist that we need to answer, and maybe they print it out, or maybe they just ask you those, or maybe you go in around the PC and you take a look around the computer and you take a look and you say, okay, what are the questions? What are they asking us? And this MAINEiac question set, what it is where it comes from is a FAM will take a look and will say, what do we want to make sure, or what things are we going to check? What type of checklist are we going to create for all members within the Guard or all members within the Air Force in this specific area? So for instance, PA will have a checklist. In the IG, we have a checklist. And some FAM took a look at all the guidance and all the directives and said, okay, I can't create a checklist with these 700 things in the AFI that it says, will you do? Because that would be an administrative burden. And I don't think the return that we would get on that, based on the amount of time that we would take to provide all that information into the system, is a good balance of our use of resources. So they'll take those 700 requirements in an AFI, and they'll pare it down to about 20. They'll say, okay, if a unit is doing at least these 20 things, that will provide the commanders and the higher commanders a good idea of, is our PA shop kind of on track, or should I go take a look in there? Should I be concerned with that? Is that causing some risk to my mission? So every area on the base has a checklist, and that checklist is a pared down AFI. It's a series of questions that have been selected by a subject area expert, put into the system, and then we answer those questions. The answers to those questions can be seen all the way to the highest levels of the Air Force. Anybody above us, any MAGCOM, HAF, anybody that is above us can look at any of our answers. And of course, when we answer them, this is the most important thing. When we say we're not doing it, that's when we should really provide accurate information. Why aren't we doing it? Well, we're not doing it because we've never been trained on how to do that, because we don't have a trainer, because our last trainer retired and we haven't filled that position yet. Okay, well, we need to know those things, and your commanders need to know those things so they can make sure that that small risk doesn't become a gigantic risk and then crush the whole mission set.
Do you think that our members are utilizing this frequently or often, or how?
So the MAINEiac program has been around for probably about 7, 8 years, I would say. And initially, when it was implemented, it was a version 1 Air Force program. So like most version 1 large organizational programs, it had issues. It is a product, and it is something that's being used all the time. Some units that we travel around to, you will see that this is really part of their USAP program, Unit Self-Assessment Program. this product, this MAINEiac program, is part of that overarching unit self-assessment program, you'll see that units use it quite a bit. So it really varies. Some units on our base pay more attention to these communicators than others. Some units across the Air Force pay more attention to these communicators than others. But what I think it provides is it provides a commander a very quick snapshot on what is the compliance of my unit in the just the myriad of requirements that they have through different directives, because those requirements are put in there for a reason. Big Air Force has said to do these types of things, if you are somebody from PA, or if I am somebody from the IG, or if I'm somebody from the maintenance shop, or I'm a security forces member, I have to do and know these things. There's a reason that they've been said that way, so that we can accomplish whatever mission set we are. So we're prepared, we're ready to fight if we need to. So I think the units that look at these MAINEiac checklists and actually use them as a management tool, I think they're a little bit better in the know than maybe a unit that's not.
I can't recommend enough, and as I'm sure you can't either, that commanders and supervisors make sure that this information is pushed out to the junior enlisted and to the junior officers and people who everybody should really know this information, especially the resources that you've been given. But from a man who knows IG, this is all great. Is there anything else you want to add, Senior?
I guess the only thing I would add is I do think that it is our responsibility to know what we're doing. And sometimes I remember coming in as a GSG, and of course the largest piece of our force are DSG members, and I really didn't know, and I don't know about embarrassed, but hesitant to ask all of these people that are out here all the time. You know, they've been in for so long, and they have rank, and they know all the systems, and they know all the little secret codes and all the little secret handshakes. And I was very hesitant to ask them things because, of course, I want them to view me as a resource. And if I come here, especially on the weekend, and I ask a whole month's worth of questions in 2 days, I mean, they're obviously going to look at me and say, boy, that guy doesn't know anything. So here we are, we want to promote somebody, or we want to move somebody into a position of more authority or give him some responsibilities. Well, we can't give it to Joe. I mean, the guy comes in every weekend and asks a whole month's worth of questions in 2 days. But it is your responsibility to know. And if you don't know, ask. It's kind of like in security forces, they have something that says if you see something, say something, right? That's a very important piece of the security of our base. If you see something, say something. So here it is. It's a very important piece of your job. If you don't know something, ask something. And if somebody is asking you something, if you're somebody that's being asked these questions, really think to yourself, remember when you did not know those things and you were hesitant to ask those things because you didn't want to be viewed as unknowing, right? So take the time and explain it. Look away from the computer, put down your phone, and explain all the information that person wants to hear or needs to hear at that moment, because they've taken the step to say, I don't know, and I need to know. And we are all better off if everybody knows the answers. So help answer those questions for the airmen. And if you are the airman that's asking those questions, and you don't have to be an airman, if you're the master sergeant, if you're the senior master sergeant asking those questions, I ask questions all day long to people on this base because I absolutely do not know all the answers to all the areas and all the things on this base. So I ask all the time. So make sure you ask questions, and if you're being asked questions, make sure you answer those.
It's all good information. I think that, and listener, if you don't know Joe Bousquet, what are you, 6'2", 6'3", okay, and so big guy, tall guy, and if he's timid or shy, and Andy Sinclair is timid and shy to ask questions, you can be rest assured that probably your 18-year-old or your 22-year-old fresh officer out of school might be timid and shy to ask questions. So have that conversation if you're a supervisor with your airmen and with your teammates, that they need to ask the questions, because I've been in that situation. Clearly, Senior Master Sergeant Bousquet has been in that situation where we felt shy and felt timid. and we're obviously not the only one. So the more open communication, and this goes for everything, not just as these inspections, but the more open communication that we have, the more we can fix things and move in the right direction. But I do want to thank you for your time. Thanks for doing this.
All right. Thank you very much, Sergeant Sinclair. I appreciate your time.
All right. Joe Busquet, everybody. Please share this information with your battle buddies. Communication is key. Having the conversation is key. The senior has been around a long time, and I do mean a long time. He knows a thing or two about, well, everything. But he said it himself, if he has questions throughout the day, he knows that he has to ask, and so do the rest of us. Thanks again, Senior, for the chat. A quick safety plug before this tape runs out. Ice fishing. Be safe out there. It's cold, then it's warm, then it's cold, then it's warm again. There are open spots in the hard water. Know where they are, unless you want to go for a swim. There, Dominic, I made my safety plug for you. And that's all I've got. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. So long.